What is the kind of toughest challenge, in your opinion, right now in the marketing industry?
Half of all traffic online is fake. It's from robots. It's very important that every dollar is spent in the right way. I'm owner of Covert Communication, which is the largest digital marketing firm here in Hawaii. Yeah, I think that what we're really coming up against now is the idea of zero click. So now you're going to get a Gemini recommendation, right? An AI generated response. Everyone who's listening remembers nothing else. It takes 7 to buy. So if you are advertising anything online, you need to make sure that you're going to reach that person you care about at least 7 times.
You have shared really amazing insights, and it was almost a kind of masterclass. If you could share one suggestion or one kind of takeaway for the audience, what it could be. Welcome back to the Next Move with Venkat. Today, I'm really excited about our episode because I'm joined by someone who is really shaping the industry and making a lot of changes in the industry, the author of the Covert Code. I'm joined by Anna Covert. Hi, Anna. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. So I've been following the Covert Communication and your work around integrated online marketing solutions. So I'm really excited to dig in more about you and your business. So we would like to know more about how you built the business, what is really working for you, and what is the kind of advices you can share with the current marketers.
Sure, I'd be thrilled to. So, yes, my name's Anna
Oh,
Covert, and I'm owner of Covert Communication, which is the largest digital marketing firm here in Hawaii. But I work with brands from all over the world, really, and primarily on the mainland of the state, of the country here, working in home services, specialize in the solar industry and other like roofing and home services, but work in all different industries. I've done vodka, ocean vodka, all the way to healthcare and hotels and you name it. How I really ended up here is, when I went to college in Boston 25 years ago, and they didn't have digital marketing. We had websites, but they were just an extension of the brand, like a virtual brochure, you could call it. They didn't engage. There was like this web 1.0 where it was kind of one directional. And then, social media came out after I graduated. And as a result, I was really at the beginning of being able to kind of create this digital opportunity. And it was very bootstrappy. We just, you had to get in there and learn how to do it yourself. And I started off with WordPress, and that's how I kind of got my, I went to business school and did marketing. But I started digital, basically taught myself how to do it. And it started with building websites in WordPress. I don't write any code, but it was that beginning that got me into Google Ads and social media marketing. And then eventually now where I'm at with programmatic and other different types of modern approaches, which is when I decided to write my book last year with Forbes as a publisher.
Got it. Amazing. So when you wanted to start this Covert Communications, what was the real reason behind it, and what type of gap you wanted to fill in the market?
That's a good question. I think the reason I started it was because I have I only worked at really one agency before taking the chains and starting my own. I did at the beginning. I was 28 when I started my first agency, and I had a business partner, and his name was George Chalikian, and we had Wind on Water Communications. And I had met him. He was a creative genius, and I had met him at the time when I was working at Harris Agency, which is the only other advertising agency I'd ever worked for. I was marketing director for a large salon and spa chain and did other kind of marketing director roles, but never had worked at an agency before. And after 2 years there, we had connected. He was much older than me, but we had a similar vision that we wanted to do exceptional creative work and really be fair and ethical. I'm a big believer in transparency. I think that that's something that gets lost in a lot of businesses, in particular advertising. I'm not saying that it's unethical to do media commission, but with the online in particular, the fact is that the way that old agencies work, and still to this day, many do operate with this notion that you come to me and you're paying me to help you manage your ads and your spend, but you're also giving me a percentage of whatever you spend on the media as a media commission. Well, I thought that didn't really make sense in a modern day. And I'll tell you why. Because if you come to me and I do a great job at your digital advertising, which I do, right? Well, that means that you would end up spending less and less and less through optimization. And as time goes on, right? We're going to make it more efficient. We're going to learn. And that's the goal, right? That you spend less and you get more. Well, then what would happen? That means that I would actually make less money because the commission, I'm being paid on commission, right? So I thought it didn't really make a lot of sense. And it's hard to trust people when that's the case. So my feeling is, sure, with traditional advertising, when you're doing print buying or TV buying, that commission replaces the cost to do the buy, right? It's a service that you had to pay for, and that's fair because it's not changing, right? We know what the cost for that ad is, right? But online advertising is like the stock exchange. It never sleeps. It is 24/7 that we are buying and selling through what's called the ad network, right? And Google is really responsible for all sides of the media exchange, which is now why they are up in Washington. Just at the end of October, we had the first part of the lawsuit. They have been claimed to be, basically a monopoly, call it what it is. And when you look, and in my book, The Covert Code, Mastering the Art of Digital Marketing, which Forbes published, I talk a little bit about that because my real goal and why I decided to write the book is because not everyone, I can't help everyone, right, at the agency. And really, now we're at a critical milestone where just like when the Better Business Bureau, in the early 90s was founded, and it was founded, people don't really realize, it was because there was no rules on advertising. And basically what was happening is everyone was advertising and saying, oh, this drink will make you young forever, or cigarettes are good for your lungs, or whatever it was. They were lies that they were telling the consumer, right? And what had happened was all these executives got together and they said, okay, we will self-regulate ourselves. We will hold each other to this higher standard, because if we don't self-regulate, we will become over-regulated. And that was the beginning of the BBB. People got together. They said, we promise each other that we will be honest in advertising and business. Well, that was a long time ago. And the fact remains that today, with online advertising being what it is and with what we're up against, now there is so much fraud that we've all uncovered. It's nothing. It should be no surprise at this stage that half of all traffic online is fake. It's from robots. What we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years, and why I wrote the book, and I felt it was urgent, and luckily Forbes agreed and helped me expedite it from pitch to publishing in 11 months. And that came out June of last year, 2024. At that time, I thought we were in a crisis. We were at like 30% of all clicks were fake. And people were like, well, who's clicking on these ads? And I'll tell you, it is Google clicking on their own ads. It is Meta clicking on their own ads. It's Microsoft. There might be some small competitiveness, people clicking on their competitor ads, but not at this scale. And people ask, well, why are they doing that? And it's to inflate their revenue, but there's deeper reasons there. But the fact is that you must be in control and understand, how do you buy and sell media online? That's the first part. We have to get past this feeling that, and I hear it all the time, and I continue to hear it, oh, I'm not technical. Then guess what? You are technical. You have to believe you're technical. We all have smartphones. We're all operating. We're using devices. We're on Zooms. It's unless you want to be taken for a ride, it is critical that, I'm not saying that you have to buy your own media, but you have to know what to ask from the people who are buying your media. How do you prove that an impression ran? And for people who are listening, an impression means one ad was seen or shown. And there are so many ways to be frauded online. There's the browser. There's the website. There's the delivery mechanism of the ad. So there's so many different parts to it that if they say they don't know, or there's no way to track that this ad ran, well, guess what? That's a red flag for you. You walk away. How do you prove to me that the ad was clicked on by a human, not a bot? Where are you acquiring this data? One of the biggest things people remember, nothing else, is with geofencing, right? And it sounds great. Everyone's like, oh, wow, that's exactly what I want. I'm going to put a virtual fence. And I've done this, and I write about it in my book. I did it years ago when it first came out, because we didn't know any better then, right? And actually back then, there was less rules about location. So everyone, when you could really track people's location. Now you can't track location, right? Unless you have a location authorized app. But is that app speaking to the rest of your apps? No, it's not. Is that app speaking to the internet? No, it's not, right? So, but it sounded good hypothetically. It's like, oh, wow, I'm going to put a virtual fence around a military base, or around a grocery store, or around a mall, right? And anyone who comes into that area that meets my criteria, I'm going to have the ability to serve them ads. Sounds too good to be true. And that's because it is, right? my take on it is that a lot of things are changing. And, and one of the big things I think that is critical is just understanding that while things are changing rapidly, the thing that hasn't changed and won't is consumers. And there's a basic math equation. Okay. So it's called critical mass messaging. And what we know is that it takes at least 4 to 7 times for someone to see something before they remember it. Seeing something one time isn't enough, right? So I'll give you an example. We have a purchase funnel, right? And at the top of the funnel is awareness. I'm aware that you exist. Great. Good start. Considerations next. I'm considering this product, right? Then there's intent. Where is this product that I want to buy? And then there's action, buying the product. Right now, and depending on what industry you're in, those things can take different varied times. The more expensive the item or service, the longer we expect the purchase funnel to take to get them from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. If you're just buying a drink at a store, well, what's the most important thing there? That distribution, with the 4 Ps of what we know about advertising: product, promotion, place, and price, right? Those things are also the same, right? So you have to be there when they want it, right? You have to, and then you have to get them to know about you, right? So the example I give people is McDonald's, right? Every year they have the McRib, and it's only around for 1 month. So why would they spend all this money on this promotion that's only around for 1 month? Well, McDonald's knows, and they have data to back it up in quick services, that they're trying to change behavior long term. So let's say you like to go to Burger King a couple times a week and get a burger and fry. Well, now the McRib comes back and you think, oh my gosh, you see a commercial, but they're not going to wait 7 to 10 days to serve you these 4 to 7 ads, because then the promotion will be half over. It's only 1 month. So they shove all the ads together. And that's why you might see and hear 2 in a row or 2 very close to each other. It doesn't actually matter. But by the time you hear 4 to 7 of them, oh, you know what? The McRib's back. Maybe I should go. Now you're in the awareness, right? It's back. Maybe I should go. You're considering. Intent. What day this week can I go? Should I call my friend Karen to go with me? Which is the closest one to me? That's intent. Now, 2% of all those people we targeted, which would have been anyone over the age of 18, will now get in a car and they will drive there. That's action. So there's a big drop off along the way. But if everyone who's listening remembers nothing else, it takes 7 to buy. So if you are advertising anything online, you need to make sure that you're going to reach that person you care about at least 7 times. Now, when you start to evaluate your options of advertising, you're going to say, there's lots of different tools we use along the purchase funnel. Awareness takes longer than intent. Intent, I'm looking for you right now. That's Google Ads. I'm searching for a solution. Where is the closest McDonald's to me? Up pops an ad from Map app or whatever. So they've already gone through the awareness. They've gone through the consideration. Now they're looking for it. So it's much easier and faster, right? And that's why we use what's called search marketing. The top of the funnel, there's just like we have for television and radio, it's awareness and consideration. Mail can fall up there as well, depending on how you're using it. It could also be lower funnel. But first understanding, okay, who's our customer? What is their behavior? How long is it going to take for them from the first time they hear about us to when we're going to be getting money in our pocket, right? And that's how you start to build your budget and expectations, evaluating, are our goals achievable, right? People ask me all the time, how do you make a marketing budget online? There are 3 ways to make a budget. There's the all you can afford method, right? That works sometimes. There's the percentage off the top. Like last year we did this, and this year last year we had $1 million in revenue. We're going to take 5% and we're going to allocate it toward marketing, right? That's common. And then, but my favorite, and I think that what I recommend is called objective task budgeting. So you decide, okay, what is our goal? We have a vertical, and maybe it's residential versus commercial, or what we have repeat customer. What are we selling, right? What are our goals? And then what do we, what's our conversion rate? This is really important. People have no idea of all the times they get traffic to their site, what percentage fill out that form, what percentage are buying a product or adding to the cart. Right. And of all the times you meet someone, like let's say it's a legal services or solar services, or what percentage of those are you closing, right? It's the same thing as adding to a cart. What percentage of cart ads actually buy? Once you have these numbers together, now you say, okay, this is what our conversion rate from lead to sit to sell is. What is it worth to us? What is one customer worth to us? A lot of times in retail, we call it what's the average ticket item. Average ticket might be $50. Well, is there a long-term value? Is that customer going to buy more and more and more? Is there a lifetime value? With a solar system, it could be $60,000. It's a new car. It could be a high. But what is it worth to you? because that's where you have to start and say, okay, if we want to grow at 10%, that means we need 5 more deals a month. Each deal is worth this to us. This is our conversion rate. So you do backwards and you say, this is how many leads we need. This is how much traffic we need to make sure we can get this conversion rate. Then you say, well, how much does it cost to get the traffic, right? And then you decide if you're within your margin or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe you don't have enough money to get that goal the way you're doing it currently. And then your choices are to get a better conversion rate, right? Or reduce your goal. It's kind of, it is math, but if you're looking at a report from Facebook and it says that your frequency is 1.5, that means that someone who you're trying to target only saw your ad 1.5 times. Is that enough? No, it's not enough. So it's really about, understanding people, understanding that, and what I always hear, and this is the number one thing, right? You don't spend more money if it's not working already. People are like, oh, they get all panicked. And the last agency told me I had to spend more online, so I spent double. That's not the answer. If you're spending anything online, there should be some measurable result. It may not be favorable, but that's when we say, okay, well, was the traffic real? Maybe there's a lot of bots there. Let's remove the bots. We can use ClickCease or other tools to do that. Okay. Do we have the right parameters set up for Google? Are we making sure that they're not serving our ad to people who are interested in our location, but not physically in our location? That's 30% waste removed. Okay. So you start going through the list of, do we have real traffic? Is it the right traffic? Once it is, we say, okay, good. We have the right traffic. They're still not buying anything. What is it? Well, then you start looking, well, what is your mobile experience like? Is it hard to, maybe sometimes, I've seen things as easy as a button can't be clicked because it's covered by something, a mobile, right? So you have to put your investigator hat on and realize that, there's something, if the traffic's pure and it's not working, then there's something else happening there. You're not telling the story. It's hard to buy. The customer journey is not sound. And then you change that, but you don't change too many things at once. But the most important thing is having purpose behind what you're doing and not just listening to what everyone else says to do. Right.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. That was a lot of information. Yeah. So in your opinion, or what you're currently seeing, other than the problem with the bot traffic, so what is the kind of toughest challenge in your opinion right now in the marketing industry? Yeah,
I think that what we're really coming up against now is the idea of zero click. So what search has changed. It is changing now. So in the last, people might be familiar with the word SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. We've had that for 20 years. That's how do you show up? How do you get it recommended by the engine? And there are rules there. Just in the last year, we've seen AEO, which is ask or answer, depending on who you're talking to, answer engine optimization. And that is how, when you ask a question, now what you might see is in Google, if you ask it a question, you're not going to get that same result you used to get, where there's ads at the top and then there's organic placement. Now you're going to get a Gemini recommendation, right? An AI generated response. And that is a curation of things that it's found online to help you answer your question. So you, the consumer, do not have to go through the process of clicking on all these different links, paid or organic, to try to disseminate the answer to your question. The AI is going to do that for you. And that's wonderful, right? Well, it can be. It's an opportunity. It also can be a threat. If you've been getting ads or you've been spending money on generating traffic for a long period of time and it was working, but now your website's not prepared for this new future, you're not going to be part of the recommendation. So then how are you going to get traffic, right? So it's called zero click because the customer does not have to click on anything to get the answer, right? So that's AEO. And then the next part is, which is happening like literally right now, we're day by day, it's called GEO, which is generative engine optimization. And that means now that we have the answer, so if you go to ChatGPT, you go to Gemini, and you go to some of these others, and you ask it the same question: what is atmospheric water? What companies sell these machines? Whatever it might be. You will see that the answers will vary by engine or AI solution. That's critical. Sometimes they match, sometimes they don't, right? But especially in the AI, when I say now, it's going to give me examples. That's like, for example, if I'm looking for a acupuncturist, it's going to start to give you answers. And then it'll ask you, do you want me to compare them for you to see which is the best? And if you say yes, that's GEO, generative engine optimization. And again, that can be scary because how is it getting this information? how is it comparing you to a competitor? And if it starts to compare it too many times, what could happen then? Are you going to start to are you going to let an engine decide, right? And well, that's what we're up against, right? I think of it as also an opportunity because when we know that how it works, we can, really kind of go take the control back and say, okay, like we wanna know, we ourselves are going to decide why we're better or different than a competitor. And if someone's looking for price or looking for speed or whatever they're looking for, maybe this other company is the best choice. We are looking for someone who's more high end or exclusive or whatever it might be. But you can't be everything to everyone, and AI is now going to make sure that's the case.
So yeah, again, just forward to what we are discussing about AI. Looking ahead, so what it is going to be your take on, like what are your future plannings in terms of the AEO and the GEO, and how are you going to handle all these with the covert communication?
Yeah, it's good questions. The most important thing is to make sure that your website is set up to be found online. Now, there's Google Search Console, and you might say, oh, yeah, we have Search Console. We set it up. Go and log in, and you're going to go and see when was the last time Google crawled your site. Because here's the fact, is that there are over 250,000 websites that go live every single day. That's like 173 a minute. Do you think Google has the time to come and look at your site? No, they don't. Right. And even if you're doing advertising, that your advertising is a great way to get them to come look, but you need to be resilient, you're vigilant. Every time you write a blog, every time you update your website, you need to make sure to go to console and ask for it to be indexed. Submit that new page. Another thing that happens is that Google changes its rules. So you might have heard the follow, no follow. That means links, right? Same thing. They're constantly changing what they're doing. So you might have thought that you had pages that were indexed and now they're not because you don't have a robot text file that says, well, if it's a portfolio, we want it to be indexed, or if it's a feed, we don't. So Google makes decisions, especially with the way that the web is today. So you want to be on top of that. Make sure your content's findable. Part one. Part two, make sure that you are, using a schema. A schema is very important. So a schema is like an architectural diagram of your website for the online world, right? It's more than a sitemap, right? Every page can have a schema, and it tells engines how to find you. So I really like Rank Math. That's a new plugin we're using. So we used to use Yoast, which was very common in WordPress on all of our clients, but now we're using Rank Math because it comes with schema. And it comes with a lot of different tools to help you maximize the opportunity to have the right meta description, meta title, and then every image, alt tags. Let's say there's a picture of me right now. Like we might have said in the past, picture of on a covert, which would have been okay in the past. Now, what we're doing, my team, is we're going through every website we've ever built pretty much and taking the picture that you see right now of me, and I put it into ChatGPT, upload the picture, say, write me a detailed alt description. This is on a covert, in Honolulu, Hawaii. And it will go through, you'll be shocked. Like it's going to tell you what I'm wearing. And that's critical because not only do you get more keywords for the engine, but you're also, helping have a better experience because 27% of users online are classified as disabled in some way. We call this accessibility, meaning they might be colorblind. They may be using an audio reader. They may be limbless, have visual impairment. You don't know, but there's a growing number of these users, and this helps make sure that they're experiencing the site the same way that you'd want them to, and you get a higher score for that. So these are some on-site things that are key. And then you need to also realize that every user will see a different result because of their behavior, their location, and their previous search behavior. So if I look for digital marketing expert where I am, and you look for where you are, we would expect to see a different result, right? And so you want to, with your team, I say like make a list of 10 questions that you want to show up for. Like you want to be the answer to these questions, right? And you're all going to go and you're going to have a running document. You went and you looked on this day at ChatGPT. This is the results you got. These are the sources you got. Are we all starting to see the same things? Which sources are consistent? Which are not consistent? And then looking at that competitor, identifying, how much content they have. Is it a third-party site, right? Is it that actual company site? You have to be doing research to see why you're not popping up. And then you can even tell the engine. So another thing, this is a long-term strategy. we're seeing if there's might be some tools coming up. But for example, if you go to chat and you say, oh, who writes about digital marketing, right? Usually I will pop up. But if I don't pop up, let's say it's your search, I don't pop up. And you say, what about Anna Covert? And then it's going to think and it's going to go, absolutely. Anna Covert wrote the Covert Code. She's a Forbes bestseller. She writes about digital marketing and fraud prevention. That asking it enough times and having people who are asking about it helps the engine become more learned, whatever it might be. So, depending on your budget or how big your team is, these tools can be very important, but you're never done. And it's always just be, kind to yourselves and your team. I mean, a lot of people, I think, especially older people, they get very combative. Oh, well, you said this was the best site I could have. And it was 5 years ago, but now things have changed, right? And even for people who build websites, I think being open to the consumer, saying, hey, we're going to build you the site today, and it's going to be ready for today. But every year you need to set aside a budget so that someone, doesn't have to be us, but someone can go in there and make sure that you're all compliant with, global protection, cookie preferences, a new speed assessment, all these things. It's like an annual health checkup. You need to have that.
Good. Yeah, it was really kind of amazing insights. Yeah. Again, if we talk about the covert communication, what is your future goal for the next 1 year, especially for the 2026?
Well, goal, I think, just to keep doing what we're doing. I'm think things are, chugging along. And there's we are looking at some opportunities of what's going to happen in terms of ads in search engines, right? Not search engines, but chat. There's a couple, there's nothing really out there yet that's all the way there. There's some sprinklings which are coming around, but it will either happen is there's going to be like free versions, kind of like Spotify Pro and, or Pandora Pro, where you can watch for free or I'm sorry, listen for free or with ads. I think the same thing will happen with these AI solutions. They'll be with ads without. Or we hear speculation that there might be kind of sponsorships opportunities, like, oh, if Google recommends your soda company and then someone clicks on it and buys, they'll get a commission. It's, the jury's out. But for us over here, we're just, my personal goals are to do more public speaking and really make sure that we're getting the word out about what is happening, because, now the fraud's up to 60% and businesses and people are we're having we know there's a lot of heartache out there already. People are losing their jobs. People, it's a race. It's very important that every dollar is spent in the right way. And as digital becomes so important, my personal goal is to help educate others on these techniques and strategies so that they don't end up,
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. Before we wrap up, if you could share one suggestion or one kind of takeaway for the audience, what it could be.
Takeaway. I think the takeaway is trust your instincts, and because if it doesn't feel right, I mean, that's one of the most important things today with bots and the deep fakes and it sounds like them and looks like them, right? You need to use this other, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension that we have all around us. Right. Like I'm a big believer in meditation and trying to hone in. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I see or have experienced with my clients. Like it didn't feel right, but they did it anyway because they didn't know better. Right. And you must now today, if it's not working, it doesn't feel right. You push pause. You cannot get that money back. Right. But you can take a deep breath and there's a lot of resources out there for you. I got free resources on my site. I also have a podcast. It just hit 50,000 subscribers. So, there's a lot of help out there and, don't wait till it's too late.
Yeah. Noted. So last and finally, so being as a host of the podcast, so how does it feel like being as a guest today?
It's fun. It's fun to be a guest. Thanks for inviting me onto the show.
All right.
Yeah. How did you find me? I'm interested to know how you found me.
Through LinkedIn and also the website. I've been doing the research. So I actually reached out to you on LinkedIn even this morning. You didn't reply, or I don't think you got notified about it.
Yeah, I get a lot of emails and notifications. But I'm sure I will go. I only let myself go on social media once a day for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Just wrap it up, giving the proper outro. So yeah, and it was really a pleasure talking with you, and you have shared really, really amazing insights, and it was almost a kind of master class this episode is going to be, and I hope I'm pretty much sure audience will also get so many insights about the AEO and the current digital marketing trends and mostly about the how to optimize all our websites, especially for the businesses, to just appear on the search engines and as well as the generative engines. So it was really amazing talking with you. And yeah, if anyone wants to find you out and want to explore more about yourself, where they can find out.
Yes, you can just Google me on the first couple pages of Google, but LinkedIn as my profile's Anna Covert. I have AnnaCovert.com for public speaking and all of my books. I've written a second book now, which is a solar coaster. But you can those are some good places to find me because I have multiple companies. Thank you so much for
Got it.
having me.
Got it. Also the podcast,
And also podcast,
the
yes.
code.
For the
Got it.
Covert Code podcast, if you go to thecovertcode.com, you can see us. We are on YouTube. We just hit over 50,000 subscribers. That's very exciting. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeart. And we have weekly pods that come out every Friday on Aloha Friday. And I also have the Solar Coaster podcast, which we just launched, and it's already at 10,000 subscribers just in a few short weeks. So excited about that. If you're a solar lover or green lover, you can join us there too.
Amazing. Thank you, Anna. It was really pleasure having you on the show. And yeah.
Thank you so much.